everybody, hope you're all having a fantastic day. The title of this video is Twin Flames, Love is the Light that Illuminates the World and Our Hearts. So follow your divine guidance towards what you desire. On coming into Twin Flame Union, you will see that your real desire is to connect with the infinite source. Realise that you want the divine and you desire to share the divine. We can be confused as to what love is sometimes, because sometimes we don't experience it, or we experience not love. And you want a whole flipping shed load of love in every area of your life. But remember that medicine never really tastes particularly nice, and one can get irritated by the person offering the medicine. Become aware of this potential experience in your reality. Agree to love and come into closer relationship with the divine. Don't take anything at face value. You're responsible for programming your own consciousness. Don't blatantly drink stuff in. Never let anyone into your mind unescorted. Don't follow anything blindly. Use your discernment. When allowing your mind to be influenced by anyone, stay in command. You're the only one responsible for your mind. Don't allow it to be broken into or be influenced only by the divine. Sit with an idea, including this one, to see if you want to allow it to influence you. Cultivate independent thinking. Nobody wants to be a sheep. Don't shrug off bad feelings as bitter medicine. How would you like to be loved? Love yourself and love others. You need to validate yourself for it, because it's extremely painful to wait for someone else to validate you. The divine is earning appreciation from you as she walks you through every obstacle. The perfect life is only created by perfect love. Where could you love the divine more? Don't try to impress or please or get something. Trust the divine here. It's safe to honour, appreciate, respect and persist. Chalk up your results. Keep your tally. This is a good day to progress on your spiritual journey. Love never fails. The divine alone is real, the eternal substance. Everything else is impermanent. Love is the light that illuminates the world and our hearts. The light of love never fails to satisfy. Focus on love itself. Let it flow through you. The nature of the world at this time does abuse heaven, and that's why the world is separate from heaven. If you pour milk into water, the milk gets diluted. The milk is your divinity. If you allow the milk to turn to curd and work it into butter, it floats on the water. It doesn't lose itself. It doesn't dissolve. Build yourself up to a point where you can be in the world and not be diminished by it. The state of your union makes you vulnerable. It makes you cling to love. All spiritual masters have had the realization of God consciousness. They come to live in the light of God. It's the exact same thing. They're all driven by the same passionate desire to find truth. You don't have to be bound by any lineage, only the divine and by truth. There was one time when you had to go to the east to find it, and now it's accessible anywhere by direct communion. The world sees spiritual people as grifters, but the case is that this is a real thing. Most masters have done the same thing. They attain enlightenment and leave. This prophecy was in the book of Revelation. Someone would have to not whisk away, but those ready to leave usually do, and the separation on earth continues. Heaven's light is so profoundly powerful, it reaches every corner of the world. Some Eastern religions are arguably more advanced than the Western ones, but they pretty much all get you there. Sorry. Running injury. Separation is so unacceptable that it can't continue, but it doesn't help to keep taking enlightened people off the earth. Even if they leave lots of teachings and drop a body of work and then leave, it can be really, well, it is really shitty in the world, but if you would be like butter, you can remain in the world and not of it. and pour forth your rays into the world and be protected by the light of the kingdom. We can't make the world change, but we can create a new world that created joy and life itself. We grow in a state of balance and may need to set appropriate boundaries as we rise. Expansion is neutral. Love flows from infinite source. You only gain in this formula. In the kingdom there is only life. The tree grows forever in richness and depth, beauty, life, joy and happiness. These arise from the kingdom and can be reflected by the earth. The earth itself is neutral. It can be a double-edged sword. The physical and material reflects whatever consciousness offers. The ego's kingdom is of separation, and that's found its way into material reality and made it part of its extensive home. This must end. There is a lot of resistance from that which must end. The apocalypse is the natural result of the growth of life. Maya must bring death and misery. Heaven on earth means to amplify up out of suffering in the world. That suffering is not our thing. We didn't create it or choose it. We are responsible for our own realities and choose life itself. Spiritual masters are those who realise and love and know God. Separation will end. The apocalypse means revealing, and all must come home to the divine. The experiment of separation will end. Suffering ends through peace. See how the suffering of the kingdom of hell in the world, which saps the resources of heaven, to continue. That's why we need boundaries. The Maya of separation and duality shows that where there is joy, there is also suffering. One must suffer or cause another to suffer to experience joy. You must pay the ego for your happiness that comes from what was stolen from the divine. There is no reason for separation from the divine. It's nonsensical. It must end. Whatever you fight against, you give energy to. The mirror exercise allows you to detach yourself and be with the divine. Everyone is seeking joy, the avoidance of pain and the pursuit of pleasure. These are two thought systems. There are two thought systems that you can follow to attain this: the divine way or the ego's way. The latter way of thinking produces misery. And one could make others suffer to suck their joy, but will be around a bunch of miserable people, and that always feels bad. Like Pedro the Cruel of Spain, who may have the most divine castle full of the most divine of people, but if one causes suffering to create, they're still in hell. It's a fundamentally flawed system. Maya projects that very system with all its flaws on the kingdom of heaven. If you meet the devil, you probably think that he was an alright bloke, but something's always off though. The divine is the only source. Even the devil is drawn to it. Even though it would cause the end of his kingdom, as suffering is part of his kingdom. The divine is unlimited in abundance and wishes to restore her prodigal sons to the kingdom and its glory. But they have to purify the suffering they choose. If someone aligns themselves to it, that's what one will have. Separation is its source. It's not your responsibility if others choose suffering. Offer compassion to them on their return. Honour the choice of another. You can't infringe on the freedom of another. Build a new reality for yourself, the best reality, the most profoundly alive, the richest, most exquisite, the only appropriate home for a child of the divine, like you. Then you attract masters and become like them. We're all joined in love. Uplift your own standards to perfection, the standards of a child of God. Refuse to settle, especially in your primary relationship. You won't have anyone other than your perfect person. Make a definite decision for perfection, born from a desire for perfection. And on that note, I'm gonna call it a day for this message. I really hope you enjoyed it. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.